Every neighborhood has a heartbeat, a place that represents the cultural epicenter of the area at its core. In Boston's historic North End, that place is Boston Barber and Tattoo Company. Boston Barber and Tattoo Company has become home to A-list Boston celebrities like Gordon Hayward, Milan Lucic, Brad Marchand, and Aaron Baines. Boston Barber and Tattoo is more than just Boston's most well-known corner barbershop. It's also a tourist attraction for the hundreds and thousands of people that visit the North End throughout the year. Boston Barber and Tattoo, a North End landmark that represents the cultural epicenter of the area at its core, located at 113 Salem Street.
Today's show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Get a 50% bonus in your first deposit by going to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. Welcome to another edition, the March Madness edition, or at least the start of March Madness for Good and Plenty podcast. We're with you twice a week, every week during the tournament, all year long, and March Madness is here. And we've got a guy on for the show today that you will not want to miss. My buddy, Scott Van Pelt, of the Scott Van Pelt Show of ESPN. And you will not find – I was thinking about somebody to get on for this show. Somebody that would be able to tell stories, somebody that would be able to tell, their thoughts on the tournament, everything going on. And SVP was the guy I came up with. So we got a lot to talk about. Games, stories, Vegas stories of both of us, winning, losing some money. Scott's got one of the best stories I've ever heard. So let's get right to it. Scott Van Pelt. We tried this earlier today. We're taping this now on Monday night. We gave it a go earlier today, and it did not work. I was at Midway Airport in Chicago. I don't know if it was my fault.
Sitting there like a loser with a microphone up to your face, like in the C terminal, with people looking at you like, "What's this goon doing?"
It was the C terminal. It was the C. That's pretty good of you. It was the C terminal. Yep. Nice. Good call. Nice. And it was a little embarrassing because I get this like big ass microphone, and like you're sitting there and it's in front, and like people are walking by and legitimately looking at me like, "This guy's a complete clown."
Yeah. Yeah,
it's March.
Here we are now. We tried, and we failed, and shooters shoot. So let's get some shots up.
Yeah, we'll get some shots up. I'm home now. I'm a little more tired. I don't know how you do the show at like 1 a.m. every night. Like how the hell do you do this? Like this is like college hours. How did you go back to this?
This is how I'm wired. Like I'm a games guy, so for me, it's just whether if we're following a game, which we are this Monday night, I'd be laying on my couch watching it, or you know the routine. You know exactly where I'm sitting in our fishbowl here. Sit here and watch it, and when the Blazers game's done, we'll go up and we'll do a show. I mean, and you also know because you've been on with me, like there's an energy that is required to do it, that once the light comes on and you're going, like you just ride that wave, and you whether it's 1 o'clock or midnight or whatever, you just sort of you ride that wave. And you know what the problem is that I always call it landing the plane. Like at 2:30 in the morning, like when am I going to come home and lay down and go to bed? No, you're still wired.
You can't.
So the problem is you end up I ended up like last Sunday night I came home and I ended up watching like the Golf Channel, my buddy Rich Lerner that hosts their stuff, and I watched like their whole post game, and it was like 4 a.m. And I'm just like, why am I watching them talk about the thing I just talked about on television?
Right.
Like,
what am I doing
What am I doing with my life?
Yes.
Yeah. Well. So
no, I get
this
that
is the
part.
life we chose.
I get that part of, and I'm going to have it this week because I'm going to end up going to Jacksonville Wednesday. I'll do the press conferences and really, honestly, just schmooze and see some coaches and people. And then the games are Thursday. And then after the games Thursday, they end. I probably got to get halfway to Columbia. It's like 4 hours, so I think I'm going to stop in Savannah, even if I'm not going to be able to enjoy it Thursday night. Then I go to the games Friday in Columbia. We'll drive back to Jacksonville after Friday night, or at least halfway, probably to Savannah again. I may just get a hotel in Savannah for like the 3 nights, and maybe I'll get to enjoy like a dinner. But you know what? If it's one dinner in Savannah, like I'm good with that.
Well, without question, it's worthwhile. I mean, you could either go back and forth like two different like round trip all the way, or you can set up in the middle. And Savannah's awesome. I mean, that's the play.
Yeah.
That's a veteran move, and especially even if it's whatever, if it's one lunch, if it's one meal.
Correct.
I mean, better that than like some truck stop food.
Which is where it'll be otherwise. It'll be McDonald's. I mean, seriously, this is generally my deal. Is the crazy part is, so I end up eating McDonald's a shitload over the next. I got 21 days left. All right, not that I'm counting, but 21 days till the championship game tonight. Right. And again, it's funny because I love it to death, but you're also at a point where, like, after 21 days, you're happy to be home and unpack and not have to pack again. But the crazy part, I eat like shit on the road the whole month. I literally come back and I lose weight, and I drink, but I lose weight. I can't explain it.
So it's the Jeff Goodman life on the road, McDonald's and booze diet.
Yeah.
How's that? But you know what it is that you go for such long stretches when you don't eat.
Yeah, that's right.
When the meal, whatever you give your body, your body is using it as just the fuel that's required to just continue living. So that's why, I mean, as long as you don't smash cheeseburgers at like 2:30 in the morning, that's where you get crushed on the road.
Yeah, exactly. No, you can't do the late night. And a lot of times, like you said, I'll have like a 3:00 McDonald's, and then maybe I'll like snack a little bit during the games. You can usually find me. I'm the one, honestly, on press row, downing a package of Twizzlers. That's me. Like if you see somebody chomping on Twizzlers, that's me, guaranteed.
Yeah. You listen. Whatever is required to get from A to B, or to get from Savannah to Columbia or to Jacksonville, which
I'm going to call your ass.
That's a good region.
Honestly, I'm calling you. Like expect a call from me late Thursday night, or when you're done with your show. Call me on the way home because I'll be driving, guaranteed. So,
well, if Maryland loses to either Temple or Belmont, then you know that I will be off the grid.
No, you got to call me. I'll be there.
Smart-ass tweets about Van Pelt. Someone check on Van Pelt. All right, it's not funny.
It actually is, because I've watched Maryland games with you in the room.
Yeah,
oh, my painful. God. No, seriously. It's insane.
The whole room is so excited that it's a 3:10 game because they know that they won't. Yeah, that's Mike McQuaid's now clapping because they don't have to be with me during a game. It's not pleasant. I admit this. Yeah,
You've got problems.
I'm not. Yeah. I don't handle it well.
No,
I don't handle it well.
You've got major issues. Who do you want to see? You got Belmont or Temple. You got two of the classiest coaches out there that nobody's ever said a bad word about, Rick Byrd or Fran Dunphy. Who do you want to see? You're a Terps fan.
They're great guys.
Yeah.
As much as everyone loves Belmont, and I know they're really good, and I told Rick Byrd this when he was on my show. I said, I don't want, because at that part, a bunch of mocks had Maryland on the 5 line at that point, and it was like 5-12, and I said, I don't want any part of your team, and I meant that. But I don't know that I want to play Shiz, Alston, and Temple either. The one thing I'd say is Belmont isn't as big. And the advantage you have size-wise, at least in theory, either one would be tough. But I think maybe you'd have a chance just to exploit a size advantage with Belmont more than you could with Temple. But, I mean, either one, I'm going to be a catastrophe emotionally at 3 o'clock Thursday.
So are you surprised Duke's like a 2-1 favorite in this thing, or no? Is that high? Like, does that seem a little bit high? Like high or low, however you want to say it?
I just look at it like Vegas is going to try to limit their exposure there because everyone watches Zion play and figures that they'll take a flyer on that, and it's that's where that's going to be the team that's the most bet, for sure.
Yeah,
because I mean Zion comes back and he looks the way he looks, and I think you just think, well, who's going to beat him? And I get that question. I mean, the one thing I'd say, though, is do they shoot well enough that for 6 games someone just doesn't pack a zone and say, all right, I saw the Virginia game where you made 8 million threes, but I also saw the Georgia Tech game and the Syracuse game at home and the Carolina game at home where you went like 3 for 80 from 3. And if they have that one game, where they don't shoot it well against a big, rugged, physical type team, and I don't know who that would be. I know maybe in Mississippi State, you were talking to me about that earlier today. But like, who's going to trip them up? There's no obvious answer. Prior to a game against a Michigan State team at the bottom of the region, if they both get there, that Tom Izzo, as we know, look at the job he did, by the way. I mean, I thought Langford was their best player and lost him early on, and they still beat Michigan 3 times and win the Big Ten tournament. So
best point guard in the country. When you have the best point guard in the country, you know what, and and maybe the best coach in the country, that's pretty good. That'll give you a chance.
Yeah. And Cassius was like, look, he's playing on one foot out there in
Chicago. He's a surgeon.
And like push comes to shove late, and what does he do? He dimes up. I think it was Tillman that tied it, and then he takes it to the rim and gives him the bucket that gets them the win. I mean, he's got Cassell. He's got a Cassell wheelbarrow full of balls. That kid.
He sure does. You mentioned Mississippi State. We did talk about it before Midway kind of hit us. But listen, Mississippi State, can I tell you, like physically, they can stand up to Duke in a sense that if Duke isn't making their threes against some teams, it doesn't matter. They're just going to dominate in the boards, right? RJ's going to take it to the basket, finish over dudes. Yep. Zion's just going to whatever he's going to do that day, he's going to go get it and just be a man-child, right? And dunk over dudes and finish through dudes and whatever. Mississippi State, if they're not making their threes, you can't necessarily do that against them. That's the thing, is Lamar Peters is a jet as a point guard. Reggie Perry is a man-child as a freshman. Not like Zion, but he's still a man-child. Witherspoon, talented guard. They're experienced, they're big, they're strong, they're athletic. And Ben Howland's underachieved with this group, I think, this year, but Ben Howland still went to 3 straight Final Fours. He can coach.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Dangerous.
Look, I agree. I agree. Just the traits of a team that could stand out there and go toe to toe with them. But that presumes that they survive an opening round game, and it presumes it survives Virginia Tech, presuming they get by the Billikens. Virginia Tech gets back a talented player in Robinson who makes them better. But the Mississippi State issue I have is just my question with them would be this.
Trust.
I saw them play a bunch, and when they played the best teams in that league, they didn't beat them.
No, true.
And you could argue, and I think I don't know what you'd argue against. I mean, maybe you'd say, Kentucky is as good as Duke, although we had a game where the point was made that wasn't the case. That was a long time ago. What I'm getting to eventually here is that Duke could be the best team they played all year. So, it's a one-off, and I understand your initial point about Mississippi State. I'm not arguing it. It's just a lot of times this time of year for me, it's like, have I seen you do it? Have I seen you?
And you've had opportunities. And you've had opportunities.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you.
You've had a handful of chances against teams like that, and you haven't won any yet. So I get what you're saying. I have a really hard time believing Duke could lose before they got to the bottom of that bracket and presumably Michigan State.
So you have the most trust in Duke of any team, period? More than Virginia, more than Gonzaga, more than Kentucky, Carolina?
No, not really. My days with Russillo, one of the things I would always say is, how good is your good? Yeah. And with Duke, because of Zion and the dynamic that he brings, it's just they feel they feel kind of undeniable to me. I look at the path for Carolina, and I think, again, prior to them getting to the bottom of the bracket, I don't know who can stand up to that pressure. And I happen to love – I don't like them. I love Gonzaga.
Me too.
I think they're really good.
If they had Tilly healthy, Scott, that would give me confidence to pick them to win it all. I still may, but if they had him, man.
I look at him as he's a luxury. He's a luxury ad. They got
needed
what they
him.
got
You're going to need him.
Without him, I agree. And listen, they played like shit against St. Mary's, and everyone decided that meant that look at them.
Right.
They're allowed to have a game where they don't play their best. Like statistically and analytically, you look at the Ken Palm numbers of their offensive efficiency, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
I'm still a gym guy more than I'm a numbers guy, but I also I know the numbers they jive with what my eyes see, that they beat the crap out of people, and they can. That's what made the St. Mary's game to me such an outlier. Like that's not who they are, but they just played. They played like crap in that one game. I think Gonzaga is nasty, and I think people just the most recent snapshot we got of them. Thankfully they got to that Final Four and could easily have won it, so we don't have to hear they didn't do like that. They don't carry that around with them, that baggage anymore. Yeah. But I get the doubt. It's not like they play in the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten. It's not like they've been tested in a long time. But when everybody had everybody in November, but they stood toe to toe with Duke and they beat them. So
it's close.
They've got that in their
it's a
back
hard.
pocket.
Am I right? It's a hard ass call to try to figure it out between Duke, Gonzaga, Virginia, and I throw Kentucky in there too. And Carolina's not far behind when they play their A game. Like those five, to me, are in a different class, and I can't figure it out right now. Like I'm going to have to tomorrow morning because it's going to be the first time that I'm like clear head, look at it, and really figure out because the first one I went with was Duke. And I just don't know if Duke's going to be able to win 6 straight the way they shoot the ball.
I agree, and that's a reasonable criticism and concern, I guess I'd say. And to me, I haven't watched as much as I've watched of all of these different teams, and I haven't seen them all in person. I did get a chance to see Virginia early this year. I love what they do.
Me too.
They ran into Florida State, and that's a team that can make you look bad, man. Yep. Leonard's got so many men on his team. It's just one after another. And, when Virginia struggles to score, it can look bad, but they often don't because they run such beautiful stuff. I love Jerome. I love Ty Jerome for that team. Like everyone likes Guy. I get it. Hunter's a lottery pick. I get it. My favorite player on their team is Ty Jerome. And I've made this comparison. And Stanford Steve, my boy, who I know obviously you're friends with as well, he disagrees with me. Like I see Gravis Vasquez in him in this way. He's a big, long guard. So if he can get what he wants against guys that guard him because he's taller than they are, and he's got great vision, and he's fearless. He's not the showman that Gravis was.
No, I was going to say that to you.
Like,
he never smiles.
Of course.
He never smiles.
I know, exactly. But I was at the Maryland game I was at. Maryland fought all the way back to down 4, and he hit a big three late that made it ball game, and he just looked around at everybody like dead faced, like where Gravis would have been shimmying.
Yes. He
looked at everybody like y'all ready to go home, but he's got. I'm talking about just his physical attributes, like they're totally different personality wise. But all of this is about Virginia and my belief that like they're going to have to deal with UMBC, and it's like okay, cool. You guys know that Hunter didn't play and he's a lottery pick, right? You guys know that part. Because that's what happened to him last.
And you try to say that to people, Scott, and they don't want to hear it. Like there's a certain segment that you could say it to, and they're like, it does. Like, well, you know what? I get it. They shouldn't have lost to UMBC even without Hunter. But he's a lottery pick. He's an elite defender. They're a completely different team if you throw DeAndre Hunter onto that.
And they
court.
lost him a week. They lost him a week before that game. It wasn't like a lot of teams lose players. Kansas lost players throughout. They lose Azubuike in January. You lose players.
Or Oregon
you become a new.
Yeah, Oregon Bowl.
Of course,
they've adjusted.
Right, but they got to be. They got a chance to establish a new identity without him. In Virginia's case, they lost him right before that game. It wasn't like they had enough time to figure out what they were. And somebody was going to lose to the 16. UMBC balled out. They beat it. So people want to hold that against him. That's fine. My guess is you probably haven't seen him play this year and you don't know what they are, just like you discounted Gonzaga because they lost to St. Mary's. Like if we're going to do that, like if we're discounting you because you had a bad game, then that means Kentucky can't be considered because they got the crap beat out of them by Duke in their first game. Yeah. It means that Duke can't be considered because they had bad shooting nights against Syracuse and they lost that game at home when they lost Trey Jones, let's use that as the example. I'm just saying everybody's got some game where they didn't play great.
Of course.
So
we're talking about college
that
kids.
That can't be the reason. Of course. These are 18-year-olds in many cases. So, I'd say this. When you sit down with your clear head and you start really thinking about it, like how many teams outside of the 1s and 2s do you really think are capable of winning 4 games? For me, it's not many.
4 games, maybe another half dozen.
Right.
Maybe.
Like a Texas Tech.
Iowa State. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But and hey, if those guys figured it out last week in Kansas City, like if they're all on the same page, they get their team meeting and everything's good. Yeah. Okay. But I also saw you lose to teams you shouldn't have lost to, and didn't just lose to them, you lost by a lot. So like, is that gonna rear its head? And you know how it goes with these teams, Jeff. They have that huge weekend, a weekend too soon, right? And then can you pack that up and go to a sterile venue at 12:15 on Thursday and play a great game? Because if you don't, it's over. So, to me, it's a handful of teams beyond the 1 and 2 line that I think is capable of winning. Look, anybody can win one game, but like, can you win enough to get out of a first weekend? There's just not that many teams. Not that many.
Quick break to tell you today's show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Lots of good NBA games coming up this week to throw some money on. Go to betonline.ag today to get in on the action. I like giving out free money on the show. Picks so easy you're guaranteed to win just a little bit. With that in mind, the Bucks are in Cleveland on Wednesday. Roll with the Bucks money line. The Warriors host the Pacers on Thursday night. Golden State's money line, a safe bet. BetOnline.ag is CLNS Media's preferred online sportsbook. Go to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. Get a 50% bonus when you sign up or use the promo code CLNS50. Don't be left on the sideline with all this excitement going on the court. Plus, you can play in BetOnline's virtual casino. Make some money there also. March Madness is here. The best time of the year. We're talking multiple games every single day to win some money on. I love Iowa State giving 6 against Ohio State. I love Old Dominion in the money line against Purdue. Whatever you do, make sure you use betonline.ag and use the promo code CLNS50 for a 50% bonus in your first deposit. Or just go to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. Hey, have you ever done Vegas for the first weekend? Have you ever done? I know you haven't done it for your show, right? But like, have you thought of doing it for your show?
I have not. My boy Stanford Steve's going to be out there this week for it, which actually was in conjunction with a charity thing, which is cool. I'm like, I'll give you credit for being a good guy, but let's be honest, you just want to be in Vegas also.
Of course, come on.
Right, but I've never gone because my fear would be that it's just such like total amateur hour, like every schlub from everywhere,
What's wrong with that?
At some point, like
you were that guy. Who are you kidding?
With the untucked striped shirt and square toe Kenneth Coles? Yes, I was. I was kicking it like in 2000 at the Hard Rock. Yeah, that was me.
putting down those $10 bets.
Yeah, I was pretty aggressive. I was
the
guy that definitely. I was swinging. Oh yeah, I was swinging for the fences, whether I had it or not. I was still swinging.
Give me your best. Give me your best story from when you were like in college, after college. I'll hit you with mine after. But what was your best gambling story from back then?
My favorite Vegas story involves being in the Hard Rock, and I was on an absolute heater. All right, I couldn't lose. And I was watching a game, and I needed, shockingly, the underdog. And the underdog was an insane game that involved missed extra points, and the underdog was covering, but then the favorite was if the favorite made a field goal to tie the game, was going to go to overtime. And long story short, I had him involved in a parlay that if I won it was going to be big, all right, like a significant number. There's a guy next to me who's screaming his head off, and he has the other team. It was the Bills and the Vikings. This guy's got the Vikings, and he's screaming, and he won't stop screaming, and I'm freaking out. And finally, I just turned to this guy, and everyone in the sports book hates this guy. He's got on, like, Zubaz sweatpants, a jersey. He's just he's a disaster.
Just annoying.
And I'm like, hey, man, how much you got in this game? He's like, what's the matter to you? I'm like, I'm just, you're yelling a lot. I'm just like, what do you got on the game? He's like, I have $50 on the Vikings. And I take out a black chip. This is the Hard Rock. I take out a black chip, and I put it down in front of him, and I say, you just won your fucking bet. Now shut the fuck up.
That's phenomenal. That is
The
phenomenal.
whole that's a true story. And the whole crew around our area, like not my friends, but everyone around just starts cheering. Now, if you're that guy, he should have swung on me because I couldn't have like chopped his legs off worse. He took the money, he got up and he left. And I'm like, and we were all like, okay, this is great. And here's the best part. The team I had, the Bills, they won it on a touchdown in overtime. So it was like the perfect Vegas weekend where it was a miracle. I won everything, and I got to tell some guy to shut his bleeping mouth. So
that's big time.
That's
big time.
That was a good Vegas one. But I've never been there for the first weekend. I mean, I know
I haven't
everybody
either.
goes. Oh, you haven't either?
No, I've never done it. I mean, I really want to do it, but how can I do it? I can't. I mean, I guess I could. I could cover the first and second round. A lot of people who cover the sport cover it from watching games on TV because you could see absolutely everything. But for me now, it's like,
but you're too much of a junkie.
I need to be
in there and talking to you need the access to talk to the people because that's what you do. That's why you're good at what you do.
Yeah, I can't not be there.
No, you can't go to the Cosmopolitan or something.
No,
you want to lie.
I'd be miserable.
You like to sit in the semicircle and play cards too much too.
Yeah, well, that would be my problem. I remember when I was at Arizona, it was round trip flight from Tucson to Vegas was $40 on Morris Air. Okay,
See,
that was round
problem.
trip. I mean, that was like so. I remember Arizona was playing Utah. And it was Keith Van Horn's freshman year. And I didn't know who Keith Van Horn was. Nobody did at that point. And I remember the line came out, and whatever the line was, it was lower than we thought it was. So my buddy and I, who were roommates, got on a plane, and we flew out, and we put a shitload of money on Arizona. And it ended up being close because, again, Van Horn went off. But they ended up covering. And we did a ton. Well, I did a ton of flights and Morris Air. And then I remember I moved back home after I graduated college, like I think a lot of us did. Did you do that? You moved back home for a while or no? Or were you a big boy?
I didn't.
You didn't? All right, you were a big boy.
I wouldn't say I more crashed and I more exploited the kindness of my friends than I was a big boy. But no. So
I had racked up some credit card bills, and I forgot that I forwarded them to my house, and Mom happened to open one day, and my God, it was ugly. I mean, I don't remember what it was. It was a couple grand, and a couple grand, your mom opens it. You're a kid who just graduated college, and she's been paying for your college education for it was 5.5 years for me at Arizona. She was like, "What the hell?"
You're on the PhD bachelor's degree program. I understand. I know that well.
I didn't want to leave.
Understood.
Why did I want to leave Tucson, Arizona? I didn't go to class much, and it was warm.
No, I mean, as we know, the world is run by C students. So, we've proven that. So how do you get? What's the get out of jail card there? Like, what do you do? Like, I'll take care of it. I mean,
She paid it. She paid it and never told my dad. How about that? Like, I don't remember what I had to do. Yeah, my mom's a saint. Like, and
clearly, what a woman.
Saint. Yeah, no question. I'm sure she yelled at me for a while, but like, I don't think there was anything. Maybe I had to do like some more chores. Maybe I had to actually do chores because I probably didn't even do them when I went back home from college. Probably to take out the barrels or something.
If she footed the bill for you going up to the Hard Rock and getting your clock cleaned.
The Hard Rock was awesome back then, by the way. The Hard Rock stinks now.
It's everything has its run. Me and Stanford Steve just had that conversation today about like the genesis of the different places. Yeah. Like the Hard Rock at its zenith was, I think, unrivaled. I mean,
that bar bar
totally decadent. Of course, the circle bar in the middle and then the outdoor. Like they invented the pool party and then like they invented the rehab on Sundays
so
and. It was pre-cell phones and cameras, so people could be just totally unhinged. And then it was like, then the Maloofs did the Palms, and they kind of took everybody from the Hard Rock, and that had its run. And, now it's obviously,
my favorite,
the ones that are.
My favorite Hard Rock moment was, so coaches would always, in July, for AU events, every coach would go to the Hard Rock back then. I mean, literally, you'd see around that circular bar, you'd have 100 coaches and everybody. And so one time we go down there, and we walk down after the games, whatever, and who do we see? Tim Floyd, who's at USC at that point, and he's talking to Renard. Like they're having an in-home with like Renardo Sidney's father. And so we go over, and I'd known Renardo Sidney's dad and knew Tim, and I knew what was going on, obviously, at that point. And like halfway through the conversation, Tim looks over at me. He's like, you know, we didn't plan this, right? I'm like, Tim, I don't give a shit. What do I care?
Right.
Like I'm going to tell anybody anything that goes on in Vegas. Whatever you do in Vegas, you could honestly, you could have handed Renardo Sidney's father $10,000 in front of me, and I wouldn't have said a word. Go do whatever you got to do in Vegas. I don't care.
Yeah, there's certainly a code. There's certainly a code to the to that. I mean, yeah, it became the tagline for the entire city. The idea that it was what happened stays. But as we all know, nothing. If it's a truly great story, nothing stays there. I mean, if you met some amazing person, or you went on a heater at a blackjack table, what are you going to not tell everybody?
No, you got to tell somebody, and then if you tell somebody,
right.
it gets to somebody else. All right, let's get back on track a little bit and close this out. I don't know how we got to this, but I do know how we got to this.
Right.
All right, let's go with we're in Vegas. We'll stick with that theme a little bit. My favorite play in the first round, Iowa State giving 6 to Ohio State. Love it. Absolutely love it. You got one that just stands out? Have you looked at them?
I don't know how many UC Irvine's getting, but I'm taking them against Kansas State. I'll take the number there. I know Kansas State's tough, and I assume they'll win. But I think that guy can coach. Do you think somebody in the Pac-12 is going to take Turner?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Washington State probably should. Somebody like that. I don't know if he'll get a really good Pac-12 job.
I just think he can do it.
He can coach.
When we've seen them, because one of our producer went to UCSB, and so earlier this year they went to UCSB, and it was it's not like we sit down and scout Irvine, but I watch. I'm sitting there watching him play, like they run good stuff, and then they boxed and won Fullerton and just destroyed them. I just think that I think they know.
You know how many
doing,
points it is?
You
know how many points it is, though?
I don't.
Take a guess.
It's probably. I bet it's a short number.
It is.
I bet it's small. How many is it?
4.5. See,
I like it even more now.
That's insane.
Because awesome. everybody and their mother will take Kansas State.
Everybody.
And I just I like Irvine. A lot of people mention like New Mexico State, and I did too, just as a scary team because they're so deep and they'll just if they're hot from three, then have fun. But like they've been a team that America's loved in the tournament early, and it hadn't gone real well lately. So I don't know. You know who else I like? I like Seton Hall. I know Young can coach, and I know Wofford's really good. But when they played good teams this year from big conferences, they lost by double digits, and that's not a knock on them, but that's what happened. Seton Hall, you think Miles Powell gives a crap about the SoCon champs?
He's a killer, man. He's a killer. No, I'm with you,
man. And that's not, again. I like Wofford. I mean, I've enjoyed Wofford.
How can you not?
I love Young. He's a no BS coach.
Yep.
Gets has had and if they won, then nobody's shocked and America's happy. I'm just telling you, Seton Hall in a spot like that, they're not even a little bit concerned about the narratives or anything else. So
I like ODU. ODU is another one I like against Purdue. I think Purdue's overrated. Carson Edwards has not been very good
really
in Big Ten play.
Wall, man.
Yeah,
he's really hit a wall.
He sure did.
He's had a bunch of 8 for 30 nights, man.
And ODU's got 2 senior guards, Scott, Stiff and Caver. I've seen them in person.
Yeah, Stiff.
They're tough. They're tough, Stiff.
I haven't seen them in person, but I saw Stiff's dad, which I've become my grandpa.
Yes,
yes.
Sad, isn't it?
When you remember and hell, I watched Jeff Jones play for Virginia, so it's it's.
I don't remember him. Was he good as a player?
Oh yeah,
he was. I don't remember him as a player.
Oh yeah, it was him. A guy named Raker Jones. I want to say there was a guy Lamb, or that might have been before his time. But Sampson was obviously the guy.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But he was part of those squads. And
Jeff Story.
I still,
By the way,
the best part of being a kid in the ACC back in the day was Cole Fieldhouse, and everybody came through.
Yeah.
Jordan with Carolina, Sampson with Virginia. I mean, going way back, and I was a kid at the time. Like this David Thompson's NC State teams. I mean, it was like every legend there was came through the building, and that was back when. I mean, Ralph Sampson was like the Player of the Year 3 years in a row. And he stayed 4 years. I mean, imagine that now. Like Cam Reddish can't make a shot, and he's going to go pro. You know what I mean? It's just the world's crazy.
Yep.
It's really crazy. We did a segment for the show tonight with Mike Schmitz, who I know you love, who's so good. And I'm saying, like, I know Cam Reddish is good, but if I'm evaluating him, I want him to be good more often than he's good. If I'm taking him top 10, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, because, again, the problem is so much is based on potential, and these NBA guys think they can get it out of him. Now, again, they're worried he's like Rudy Gay, but I think some guys would be like, we'll take him if he's Rudy Gay. Like, Rudy Gay has put up numbers.
Rudy Gay's still he's still in the league getting buckets, man. You'd be thrilled if he was Rudy Gay.
Yeah,
he's similar. Thrilled if he was that.
He's similar in his mindset. They're both sweet kids, like too nice to be the guy. Well, if you're an NBA team, you're not even drafting Cam Reddish to be the guy. You just want him to be like a starter for 10 years, and you'd be happy.
Right. He's not. I already dropped 2 F-bombs, so I won't drop another. Just in the interest of my employer. I don't think they're going to care, but he's not an MFer.
No.
Right. As we know, that's the greatest.
Who did I call an MFer? Oh, I tweeted. You know what? I tweeted that Jordan Murphy was an MFer the other day, and I was like, am I going to get in trouble for this? But what do you think? Anybody
in basketball circles know that if you can shoot it, you can shoot the shit out of it. And anybody knows that if you're a tough MFer, that's the greatest compliment you can be paid. If someone's an MFer, you want that, because that's the guy that you can go to battle with right there.
What else? I'm going to let you go after this. What else is the storyline? I mean, Zion.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else are you looking forward to in the next week? It's obviously the Cinderellas. I want like Bobby Hurley and Chris Mullin to fight. I'm trying to get a clip. Listen, I'm trying to get a clip where last year they played against each other and they were on the sideline MFing each other the entire game. Like,
really?
I'm trying to get it. Yeah, I'm trying to get it. If I can get it, I think I'm going to post it. And
you know what that is? That's a kid from Jersey and a kid from Brooklyn.
Yes.
Just like,
how great is it?
I love, I don't know Bobby, but Mully's my guy, man. And
you love Bobby.
How great was that? How great was that 30 for 30 about Ed Pinkney bringing him to the neighborhood and seeing this white boy and thinking that
good
that they were going to, take him to school, and then Mullen just wrecked shop on the whole block, man. Like he was such a bad boy back in the day.
And he talks the same way, Scott. Mully talks exactly like he was when he was 17, I bet. Now, I didn't know him when he was 17, but I've heard him talk when he was at St. John's. It's the same deal. It's great.
I love him. But, like, for me, it's I want to know if Virginia flushes that Florida State performance. They won't play anybody as good as that, obviously, this weekend. But I want to see just them get over the weekend hump so that people don't ask you NBC questions anymore. I'm curious about the Auburn, Iowa State, Villanovas of the world. Like, how much energy did they spend in the pursuit of a title? Because I think the seed lines don't reflect much value. They didn't get much out of it for all that energy they expend. I'm always curious. Like, can you carry that? Because like I remember when UConn. They played South Florida in the 12 o'clock game in the Big East tournament to start the thing. The year they won it all and then won the title. And and then they got shipped west, if I remember correctly. Yep. And I thought they're done.
They're done.
And then I couldn't have been more wrong. Kemba, single-handedly.
Yeah.
So you just never know if those teams, if the gas tank is empty or if they just manage to just keep the momentum and keep cruising. So. I don't know. It's the best 4 days, and
the best.
And I know you feel the same. I mean, look at you. You're going to go to friggin' Savannah to go back and forth between Jacksonville and Columbia because you're a lunatic.
And you know what? I'm loving it. We got it. We got to get. If you can get the show to Vegas, I'll come out to Vegas for first and second round. If you can pull that out, we can hang out together and lose a lot of money.
I think. Well, first of all, we're going to win. because that's all we do. We're winners. Winners win.
There you
go. We would do. I think the best we're going to do for that is to get Stanford Steve out there this week. I think they're going to tell me that I'm required here on the set, unfortunately, because, God, that would be fun to do.
All right, we'll figure out a different weekend to do it. Listen, I appreciate you coming on as always. I miss you like hell, you know that. And tell Stanford Steve and everybody I said hello over there. And like I said, I'm going to call your ass on Thursday night on that drive from Jacksonville to Columbia. You're going to, especially if the Terps win, but answer the phone even if they lose. All right, be a man. Man up.
You'll be the only one I talk to because I'll be in a profane state of mind, and I know that you'll be
your psychiatrist.
You'll be the Jimmy Patsos. You'll be the Jimmy Patsos to my Gary Williams.
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
scream at you and tell you it's all
you
your
can
fault
MF me.
if it goes wrong.
Yes, you can MF
My
me
guy.
all you want. You got it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Always great to talk, brother. Be
you
good.
too. Later.
Hey, sports fans. I'm Coach Nick of the B-Ball Breakdown podcast on the CLNS Media Network. I break down the NBA from a coach's perspective and have some of the best basketball minds join me weekly to discuss the latest NBA news and what's truly going on the court. Subscribe to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast wherever you get your podcasts or find us on clnsmedia.com. It's a great conversation. You in?